Good morning, everybody. All right, so we have a couple of things to talk about. So let's get started with first. Just recently, I've been posting some things for you to get ready for your final. I know that the final is a couple weeks from now, but it's always good to get ready for it. And I'm going to have a discussion about it right now. I'll have this discussion probably a couple more times, but it's that time. We're almost at the end of the course, and it's always good to get ready for things, right? So one thing that you have to have, and most of you do, I think everybody does. I mean, I use Zoom for your testing to make sure that you have your video and all that going on. But the thing is that you have to test to make sure that your computer is prepared to take on the honor lock final exam. So you go into honor lock here, all right? And when you do, it'll redirect you. And you have the practice test, okay? You have the practice test, and you're going to be, I'm pretty sure this is going to be posted on the LTI or the honor lock system. This one will not show up. Your final will not show up until it'll open up on the 16th, and I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But make sure that you do your honor lock practice test. Now, as far as the test is concerned, I'm going to put it under participation grade because it's not fair. It's a really super simple test. It's not a real test. It's just a test to see. I think it's 3 questions to make sure that you know how to interact with the system. You're going to be asked to show your photo ID and everything else, and it actually simulates what it would be like to take a test if you haven't already done this before. I mean, with how long we've been under COVID's restrictions, I'm sure you've done honor lock before. So you'll go through a practice test to make sure that if you didn't have the opportunity to understand it. So make sure you get the practice test done. All right. So are there any questions before I move away from this concept of the practice test? All right. So to help you identify some of the requirements, just in case before you go to the practice test, you're not sure if your system requirements are met, come here. And I do have all this posted. So you come down, you'll see down here, and I didn't make it the forefront because it's not the most important thing, but down here, see the honor lock requirement for the final. All right. And then you'll see further down, study test for honor lock. And then a reminder about complete the honor lock practice test. And I gave this to you in your email as well. So I forwarded it to your email. So that way you can go ahead and have it there rather than having it being through just announcements. Because sometimes scrolling all the way down is too much trouble for some people. So anyway, you'll see where it says click on the honor lock LTI and then click on the practice test. So everything you see here is the instructions preparing you for the final. And then now speaking about the final will open up the week for a total week. It'll open up April 16th through the 22nd. All right, so 16th through the 22nd. We'll have our test 3 here, on the 8th. We'll have our practice test on the 6th, and then we'll look at chapter, like there's module 4, there's like 3 or 4 lessons there. We'll look at that during this week, and then the practice during these 2 days. Apologize. Disregard that. I'll be going ahead and teaching you chapter 4 and then practicing on the 15th. So that way you're prepared for the test, which is opening up on the 16th. And like I said, I'll remind you again about this next week. All right. But at least that's what's on our scheduled activities. If you look at here, all right, I have the 13th and 15th. What I'll do is on the 13th, I'll cover 4.1 through 4.7. Actually, it's just 4.1, 4.2, and 4.7. 8773. All right, so you have those 3 lessons that we'll go over, and then I do want to go ahead and give you a practice test. But I will leave it to you whether or not we come together on the let me see, on the, what is it? On the 13th, okay, on the 20th, all right. I'll be in here, all right. I'll be in here, but I'm not going to go ahead and make you have to come to class. All right. Does everybody understand that? So on the 20th, you do not have to come to class. If you want to go over something in the preparation for your final that day, that's fine. If you think you need some explanation about something from your practice test, then by all means, I'll be there available for you. All right. So that way you feel like you're prepared for the test. Now, again, the test is open until 11:59 on the 22nd. So you are absolutely required to take it sometime then. You do not take it with me. You directly go through Honor with it. All right. So here I'm speaking about it on the 1st. And then, and by the way, happy April Fool's Day. And I'm not kidding you about any of this material here. So anyway, so are there any questions like about the final and how that's coming about? All right. Make sure that you get your portfolios done by the 18th. If I was you, I would get them done sooner than that. Perhaps maybe get them done by the 10th and 11th. Get them done that weekend. We'll have our test 3 on the 8th. So maybe you want to get your portfolios done by like the 11th. Work on it on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. So that way your mind could be free to do whatever it takes to get ready for the final. That's just a suggestion. All right, just as a reminder, this is being recorded, so if you need to come back to all this of what I'm just talking about, then by all means do that. All right. Okay, it does allow you to use notes. I posted that you're allowed to have 4 index cards. So that's for each individual teacher that you're they authorize, like you're allowed to have 4 note cards for my test. Here it's 80. Sierra, can you hear me? It's 8773. I think I said that, but here we go. I'll type it again. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead and move on then. Okay. So today we're looking at 310. All right. We'll cover that next week. Next Tuesday, we'll cover the review for the test 3, and then you'll take your test. All right. Yeah, I already got this fired up. Let's go ahead. There's not that many questions today. All right. Not that much. It's only 8 questions. But you know what? There is some things that I want to go over. Like, and a matter of fact, it's like something like this. Let me look up something and show you. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you how to do the elimination method. Watch this. Systems of equations, right? See, it's systems of equations. And then you want to do elimination worksheet. Now, I like CUDA, so I'm going to type in CUDA at the end here just to make sure that I get CUDA. Here it is. Because I want CUDA to be the first thing. See, look at boom. All right. Now, this right here is a good, it's a good thing to use to get ready or to understand how to do elimination. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. And along with that, I'm going to also use my my thing here. All right, now the way to do elimination. Now I wish I had a different pen. Maybe this one works. All right, now elimination is a process of eliminating one of the variables by adding one equation to the other. The only way to eliminate a variable is if the leading coefficients of each variable are the same opposite number to each other. And they set it up in this particular problem to be just that. If you look at it, if you add this is also called the addition method for solving system equations, but elimination is commonly known because you're eliminating one of the variables. So you add this equation to this equation, and then when you do, this will happen. And then you add this together. Well, -2 added to 8 gives us 6y. And then adding -12 to -24 gives us -36. And then simply by dividing by 6, we'll get -6 for y. That's how fast it is to solve for a variable. So all we got to do then is go ahead and come back and place it into one of the two equations, not both, but one of them, to solve for x. So I'll go ahead and put it in the first one. So if I put in the first one, I get -4x minus 2 times -6 equals -12. Well, then I'm going to get -4x positive 12 equals -12. Then I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. Get -24. And then divide both sides by -4. So x equals 6. So now I have found my answer. And what we're looking for is an x and y coordinate point. That is what we're ultimately looking for. All right. Now sometimes, and I'm going to do one more of these, sometimes you have to manipulate the structure of a number system because they're not the same, such as look at number 9. Okay. Number 9, we have to do something to make them match oppositely. Now, to make this match oppositely, I need this to be a 7 here because 7 added to -7 gives me a 0. So what I can do is take this structure and I can multiply everything by 7 and rewrite the equation over here. So when I multiply this by 7, I have to multiply each part by 7. So that's going to be 35x plus 7y equals 63. All right. Now I'm going to rewrite this as is. Now, when I do that, all right, I can see that when I add this together now, this will eliminate this. That's the whole point of why we call it the elimination method. Now, I add these together, and then add these together, and then get x equals 1. All right. Let me make sure I did that. So that's 5. Yeah, that's 4. Yep. Okay. Now, all I got to do is come back and put that back into one of the equations because I solved for x. So I put it in this one, and that gives me 5. So y equals 4 because subtract 5 from both sides. So now I have my coordinate point of x equals 1, y equals 4. That is how you solve for variables. Now here, one thing I love about CUDA is they give you the answers at the bottom here. Look at this. So I have 1, 4. Here's the answer, 1, 4. Before I had 6, negative 6 is the answer. Look at, we have 6, negative 6 is the answer. Now, again, I went ahead, I'm recording this so you can come back to it because I don't want to spend that much time focusing in on elimination. You will not need this for the final because I'm going to be showing you the substitution method, which is a lot easier in remembering what to do because they purposely have set it up for that. But now let's take a look at this problem. Now this problem right here, they make you do a lot of work, unfortunately. All right, I'm telling you, it's a lot of work because what they're doing is asking you to do this. For every single x and every single y, all right, they're replacing it with these different values. So if, for example, I go ahead and do negative 9, and then I do 7 plus 2 times 9 equals 6. And I see it that equals. So this is going to give me negative 63. This is going to give me 18. And no way is this going to give me 6. So it's a bust. So when it's a bust, I say no. If it passes, then I move on to the next one. And you do this for 4 times. You do this. Here I'm telling you, if you were to know the elimination method, we could have used the elimination method right off the bat without having to do any substitution. But it's a matter of learning how to do the elimination method. And you have to expand your mind to thinking outside the box. So the way I'm doing this is I'm going to make these match by multiplying this right here by 3 and multiplying this by 2. If I multiply this by 3, then it's going to be negative 27x, positive 6y, and 18. This is not hard multiplication, guys. I mean, this is basic multiplication. I mean, and why am I choosing this is because once I multiply 3 by 2, I'm going to get 6. When I multiply 2 times negative 3, I'm going to get negative 6. So it eliminates the y's because I'm going to add them together. See, I add this together, and I'm going to get negative 17. This is going to eliminate this. And that's going to leave me with 34. Now that I divide by negative 17, I have x equals negative 2. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So now that I have that, I'm looking for an answer where x is equal to negative 2, and here it is. I have my answer. So this is yes. This is no, no. I'm done. See, so rather than me have to go through this 4 times, all I had to do is go ahead and use another strategy and then get the answer and then be done with this. It's just a way of doing it. I mean, there's just there's different ways of doing this, but this is a good way of doing it. So now we have this problem. All right. Now this problem has an isolated variable. Anytime you have an isolated variable, you can do direct substitution of that variable into the other equation. Now, what does that mean? Now, taking this, I'm going to exaggerate how this is set up, but we can see that this y and this y are exactly the same. So why don't I just go ahead and take this then and replace it into that y, and then I'm going to go ahead and solve for x. So negative 9x plus 3 times, remember all this is replacing that y now, 3x plus 5 equals 15. Now I do not have multiple variables here. I have a single variable, x, and I have to just solve for it. So we have 3 times 3 is 9, x, and then we have 15 equals 15. Now, ironically, the way this works is that 15 equals 15 is true. That means it's true for all values of input. Well, that doesn't mean we're going to select yes for all of these. It's just that it means that this particular system has infinitely many solutions for its solution base, because what you put in for a number system in this one, all right, that's true for this one, will work for the other one. All right. Now, when that happens, then that's when you go ahead and do the substitution business, because they're making us have to test all of them. So in order to do that, I'm going to choose the second one here for my substitution, because if I go ahead and put in 0, first of all, put in negative 5 for y, and then put 0 in for x, we can quickly see that it does not work. Negative 5 does not equal positive 5. So therefore, this is no, this one does not work. And then I'm going to go ahead and substitute it in for the other one. Now, some of you are probably thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, Mr. D, why did I have to go through all this trouble that you just made me go through and writing all this down right here, when all you're telling me is that I'm going to go back and do what you didn't want me to do before? And so there's a contradiction. Well, have at it. If you wanted to go ahead and do it this way every single time, then it's going to work. But I'm telling you, this could save you time. That was not that difficult to do some basic structure of replacement and isolation of a variable. And whenever it equals like this, it means it's infinitely many solutions, and that means you have to test each point. So it's that structure of approach. So when I'm looking at this, I'm taking the second part. This is the big guy right here. I'm going to use this one to go ahead and structure my approach to solving for each of these. All right. If it works, I move on to the other one. So I have 3 times negative 4 plus 5. This is negative 12 plus 5, which does not equal 1. Therefore, this one's a no. Now I have to go ahead and put in 1/8. All right. Now I go ahead and do 8 equals 3 times 1 is 3 plus 5. That does equal 8. Therefore, I move on to the top one now. If it works for the bottom one, which is easier to solve, I then move on to the top one. All right. Now, negative 9 times 1 plus 3 times 8 equals 15. All right. Now, 9, that's negative, plus, and then that's 24. And 24 minus 9 is 15. So therefore, it works. So this is a yes. I move on to the last one. All right. I do negative 13 equals 3 times negative 6 plus 5. This is going to give us negative 18 plus 5. That does give us negative 13. So I move on to the next one. Negative 9 times negative 6 plus 3 times negative 13. Does that equal 15? Well, this one right here is going to give us negative times a negative is positive, so it's 54, and then minus 39. Now, if you can't do things mentally, you can just go ahead and do it. 54 minus 39 is not, there's no shame in that, but it's 15. All right, so this does work. Didn't have it showing you all the work, sorry. But here we have this. Okay, so this is a yes. Now that was a lot of damn work, and yes, I understand it's a lot of work. Okay, it's not impossible though. It's just a lot of work. That's why there's only 8 of these questions. They know that it's a lot of work. But then this moves away from that kind of stuff. Like, all right, so we're looking at this as now just solve for the system. This is using what's called substitution. Now I used substitution in that last one, but it gave me infinitely many solutions because it equaled. This is the kind of problem you're most likely going to face when you're looking at your test next week. Is that what you do is you replace this in for the other one. So you're going to get 8x plus 15 equals x plus 57. That's what you're going to do. Now you're going to solve for x. So subtracting x from both sides, I'm going to get 7x. And then subtracting 15 from 57 gives us 42. Dividing both sides by 7 gives us 6. Now that I've solved for the x, I'm going to come back and place it into one of these two equations. It doesn't matter which one you choose. So we're going to put in 6 for the x, and then 6 added to 57 gives us 63. You could do that mentally, or otherwise use your calculator. And that's it. And you're thinking to yourself, man, Mr. D, that's not just it. That's hard. I don't get it. It's easy to say I don't get it. I mean, by the way, a lot of people do that. It's easy to say I don't get it. It's harder to say I want to learn it. All right? And then you start justifying yourself. When am I ever going to use this? I hear it all. So here we go. Put this in here. It's about structure. It's about following the same pattern. You can see, look at how this one's like that. This one's like this. So give yourself good habits. Like put some parentheses around what you're going to replace. So now I go ahead and come over here and put 7x equals 3x plus 20. And then I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides, and that's going to give me 4x equals 20. And so x equals 5. Now that I have that, I come back into here and put in 5 for x. So 5 times 7 is 35. Now that I have y equals 35 and x equals 5, I'm going to come in here, put in 5, 35, and I'm checking my answer, and I have it complete. Now we're back to this, okay? And I'm serious. I'm going to approach it the way I've been approaching it before, and I don't care. I'm going to see if it gives me an answer real quick, because that's how I do it. Now that I know how to do it, or I did know how to do it, but I'm going to try and teach you how to do it. But here we have the replacement of the y And now I'm going to go ahead and do the distributive property. Add. All right, add these two together. And then go ahead and subtract 14 from both sides. And then x equals positive 2. Darn it, I keep on doing that, guys. I apologize. Don't realize I'm falling off the page. I'm concentrating on what I'm writing. So anyway, I get this. And now that I have x equals 2, here's my answer. So this is yes, while these other three are no. Now, you've got to admit that was a lot faster, all right? Lot faster when doing it that way. Imagine having to replace all the values into each of those. It's a pain in the neck. So we're going to go ahead and set them equal to each other. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and subtract 6x from both sides. I'm going to get 3x. Subtract 14 from both sides. That gives me 21. And then I'm going to x equals 7. Replace 7 into either one of the two equations. I could put in the top one. So that's going to be y equals 63 plus 14. And so I'm going to get y equals 77. So now I'm going to plug that in. So I get 7 and then 77. All right. This isn't easy. I'm not saying it is. This one's pretty hard, okay? You've got to concentrate. So often I see students just leave these questions blank on their test. It's very frustrating on my part to see that happen. Very frustrating. It means you just don't care, right? I mean, it's easy to just give up. So, they have a lot of these kinds of problems in this problem set here that I'm doing. So, I mean, I'm like, I don't care. All right, give it to me, whatever. And since that's the case, I am going to use my strategy of elimination on this one. Because all I'm going to do is multiply this by 2. Multiply this by 3. Because that would give me a -6 and a +6. That's what I'm looking for. So that can eliminate the x's then. So then I have 4y. All right. And then I have equals 10. So notice how I'm multiplying the 2 to every one of these. Now multiply 3 to each one of those. So that's going to be that. This will eliminate this. This is going to give me negative, what is that, negative 17. And this is going to give me 34. All right, and then that's going to give me -2. So y equals -2. Which one has y equals -2? It's the first one. So the answer here is yes. The other ones are no. See, so if you know how to do what I did, that was really super fast to answer it without having to, especially on a multiple choice, or it's not multiple choice, but determining whether it's a yes or no if it's a solution. I absolutely love that. I just saved you like so much time. You just don't appreciate it right now because you think everything's hard right now, but believe me, you'll appreciate it. It's easy. But if you're an old schooler and you want to go ahead and plug and chug, then by all means have it at it. It's up to you. If you want to make it a little bit more difficult, then sure, go for it. So 7x minus 21. And by the way, if you really, really want to learn how to do this, right, there's YouTube videos on it. Just say, solving system equations by elimination, solving system equations by substitution. And then you can find YouTubes on it. And then, as I've indicated to you before, there's also worksheets on it that you can practice this by CUDA. And it gives you the answers, which is really important, so you can see the process about the way to do this. Learning is, this right here is fun when you know what you're doing. But it's frustrating at first because it's so brand new to you. So please challenge yourself and trying to figure it out. I think you'll like it. All right. I mean, I know I'm a dork and I love math, but I love puzzles more than I do math. I really do. I love puzzles so much. And math itself is kind of like, okay, whatever. It is the strategies and the game of figuring out the rules. I think that's what turns me off on the math so much. It's not that I'm a mathematician. I'm a gamer at heart. I love strategies. I like to beat people at games. I play a lot of strategy games and stuff like that. So, and this is just a strategy game. It's like my approach. Okay, how am I going to beat this problem? Okay, so that's what you got to look at. So I go ahead and look at this, and I was like, okay, this is the game. Okay, I'm gonna subtract x from both sides. Boom! It eliminates the x's on this side. See, I don't know. Make it however fun in your mind, but it all depends on attitude. That's why I teach the growth mindset. It's all about attitude. Here we have this. This is 36, and then I'm going to get x equals 6 because we know how to divide. So now I have 6 for x. You can mentally put in 6 into here. All right, 6 into x gives us 6 plus 15. All right, and by doing that, you get 21. And that is it. And that's the last problem we have. Like I said, there's not that many, but it was a lot of detail. I went over a really good amount of detail. So I would suggest that you practice, all right? Grab other resources. So are there any questions you'd like me to go over? Any other questions about the final? Anything that you guys have that could help another? All right, well, in that case, then I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.